doing good. So today I actually need to start my pepper seeds. So I've got a handful here. I had to pick and choose this year of which varieties I wanted to start because I am planning on doing a little bit of a smaller garden. With that being said, I have 48 cells here that I'm about to fill up with pepper seeds. So take that with a grain of salt. But what I am going to do is just go over a couple of tips to help you be successful with your pepper seed germination, as well as maybe a couple of tips to help you with the pepper growing process. The first thing that you should know is that your pepper seeds, when you sow them, they want to be germinating at a temperature of between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're going to put anything on a heat mat, I would definitely recommend it being pepper seed because they actually do benefit from that heat and will need it to germinate at least more successfully. You can do this at room temperature as well. Like my house is about 70 degrees at room temperature, so they'll still germinate that way. It just may take a little bit longer. Now, the next thing that you should know is that once you've gone through the process of growing it, just like all of your other seedlings, once they've germinated, you want to place it under light and do the fertilizing and all that. And then once it comes to the time that you want to transplant it, you don't want to do that as soon as your very last frost date comes. You want to wait a little bit after that point because they are a lot like melons and squash in that they do not want to be near the frost at all. They are not frost tolerant, and it will actually stunt their growth a little bit even if they're down there at temperatures like 45-50 degrees. So wait until it warms up a little bit more. If it's somewhere like North Carolina like I am, it will definitely happen very, very quick, so you can just wait a couple of weeks after that last frost date. Now, as you are growing out your pepper plants, what you can do to ensure that you have a healthy and bushy pepper plant is to, one, remove any flowers that you see growing while they're inside. You don't need to be growing the peppers, and it's just going to take away from the plant if you're allowing the flowers to develop. So pluck those flowers off, and then another thing that you can do is trim the plant. Once it gets up to a few inches, I would say about 5 or 6 inches, you can start pinching that to let the plant branch out. You can even do this at a later stage if you'd like. I have a problem with a lot of my garden plants. The deer like to come through and trim them. So if you can have something like that going on for the first part of your growing session there, then it's really going to produce a nice stocky bushy plant. And you don't have to be super specific about this or super careful about it. They're most likely going to bounce back. Now, with that being said, I would not do it when they are super young. I would let them get a little bit established, maybe up to this height, before you start trimming them like that. Another thing that you may want to know is that certain pepper varieties can take a little bit longer to get established than others. So your super hot varieties like a habanero, the Sugar Rush Peach is another one that I had that experience with. They take a lot longer and they'll stay at a much compact state very early on, rather than like a jalapeno or the poblano. Those freaking shoot up and go crazy the entire season. So that may be another thing that's kind of dependent on your area, how well a pepper is going to do. But another thing that you can do to make that better is to save the seeds from that pepper each year, and it will become more acclimated to your environment and better producing each year. Okay, well, I think that's all that I have to say about some tips for growing your peppers. If you also have any, drop them down in the comments because I would like to know, and I'm sure that there are other people that would too. Okay, so we will move on to sowing your pepper seeds. So pretty easy, the method I'm going to use. I'm just putting them in a cell tray. But there are actually a lot of different ways that you can sow your pepper seeds. So I'm going to be doing just 1 or 2 seed per cell here, but you can put them in a cup and sow them. If I'm going to be doing more than 5 or 10, I will go ahead and just sprinkle those in a cup and see what pops up to germinate, and then separate them out from that point. It's really easy and they stand up to it really well. You shouldn't have any kind of problem as long as you're just not ripping the roots out of there. But so I am doing so many varieties here, and I just need a few of each. So I'm just going to sow these individually, and I'm going to be using my little bamboo skewer here. Just a tip, if you are doing something like this and you're going to be sowing your seeds individually and you want to use something like this, the key is wet dirt. Go ahead and wet your dirt down, and then it'll stick because, the bamboo needs to be wet for it to stick to the seed and be able to hold it and transfer it. Alright, so first up, I will try and go in a little bit order here. From this point, I'm just going to be sowing the seeds so you can follow along. I'll let you know anything that I have to say about the varieties that I'm sowing. So first up, I have the banana pepper. This is obviously a classic, and I'm not really sure if this is a sweet or a hot banana pepper, but I guess I'm going to find out. Okay, so I've got 4 seeds here. I'm just going to do 1 per cell so that I don't have to go back through and separate these, because I always feel really bad for trimming out the baby seedlings. I just try to sow what I need, and then if I need to go back and fill it in, I will. And for the pepper seeds, you don't need to plant them very deep. You need to put them about 1/4 inch under the dirt. If that, no more than that. Okay, so that's the banana peppers. Something else. So this, for your potting mix or your soil mix, whatever you're going to be starting your seeds in, I use compost for everything at this point, just because I've got a big pile out in the yard that I've been working on for a couple of years. But if you are using compost, just make sure that there are no big chunks on top. Otherwise, you can use a seed starting mix or a potting mix. Again, same thing with the potting mix. Just make sure that there are no big chunks on top, including perlite, because that can stop your seed from coming up as well. Okay, so next we have serrano. These are very, very productive for me. And in the past, I have used these as a replacement for jalapenos because they taste pretty much just like it, except they're slightly more spicy and a more smoky flavor. But this year, I think that I'm going to let these turn red and dry this for a chili powder. If you're working with really hot peppers, you might not want to dump them in your hand to sow them, because the pepper oils or the capsaicin, it can burn your hands. I've done that with jalapenos. Yeah, it's not fun. And if you do it, if you're working with a lot of peppers, it can get built up in your skin pretty good and take a good while to go away. I know when that happened to me, I was canning the cowboy candy and I was cutting the jalapenos with no gloves, and I ended up making probably like a dozen jars, if that puts in perspective how many jalapenos I was messing with. And it literally took almost 24 hours for the burn to go away from messing with jalapenos. We live and we learn. Next is the Anaheim peppers. So this pepper, I believe, is used a lot in like Cuban cuisine. It's a good stuffing pepper. Again, I'm just doing 1 per cell, but you can do more if you'd like, so that you don't have to go back and fill in if some of them don't pop up, or you can go back and trim them or separate them if you're going to be doing more than 1 seed. Next, we're going to do the pepperoncini. So I haven't gotten to grow these out successfully yet, so I don't know how productive they're going to be. So I hope they're pretty productive because I'd like to can a lot of these. I prefer these over like pickled banana peppers. I know they're kind of similar. These are just a little bit more spicy. Next, we're going to do the cayenne pepper. So this is one that I'm just going to, let turn red and dry for cayenne pepper as a spice. I'm going to be doing that with a few of them here today. Next, we're going to do the cherry pepper. I've never even tried this variety, so I don't even know what to expect. I guess I should have brought scissors for this one. I've almost got it though. Finally got it. These seeds are red. I don't think that they're coated in anything. They weren't advertised just so. So does anybody know, are cherry pepper seeds red, or are they stained from the pepper? Interesting. And I'm just going to push these down into the soil. It's a little bit easier to do this rather than pushing the seed down with your bamboo stick if you're doing it that way, because a lot of times the seed will still try to stick to it as it's coming out of the dirt. So next we're going to do the jalapenos. This is probably one pepper that I will always have in my garden. Four seeds here. Next is the yellow monster pepper. This is a bell pepper, and these do actually get really big. I'm not usually very successful with like fertilizing my pepper plants or doing whatever you need to do to get big peppers. So also if you have any tips on that, leave them here for me. But this is one that got big with like no effort. So if you also struggle with that, maybe this is a good variety for you to try. Next up, we have the arroz con pollo pepper. So this is one that I've saved seeds from, and this pepper is so amazing. If you're somebody that likes to add that into whatever kind of cooking, anytime I'm cooking chicken to do with like tacos, fajitas, anything, that's going in there. It really is such a good spice, and it rounds out all kinds of flavors too. It really tastes like chicken. I never thought that there would be a pepper that tastes like chicken, but it does. Okay, so I'm going to do these. Yeah, I gave up on the bamboo stick. I was trying to keep my hands kind of clean, but this is a little bit faster with these seeds. I can grab them, so we'll just go with it. Next up, we have a poblano. If you've never tried it, it really is like a bell pepper that's slightly spicy. I think for the poblanos this year, along with like using them as a stuffing pepper and just like stir fries and stuff, or adding into tacos, something else that I want to do is dry those. And I think it's ancho pepper that when you dry the poblano, that's what it makes. So I will be drying that to make that spice, as well as, let's see, I have the red Cuerno de Toro pepper. This is one that I'm not sure if I'm going to dry it, but I'm definitely going to be canning it. This is one that's used to make red roasted peppers. So I'm either going to do these like I do my sun roasted tomatoes, just bake them and freeze them, or I may actually go through the process of canning them. Okay, and last but not least, we have the shishito pepper. This is one where the flavor completely changes when you fry it up. It tastes a lot like a banana pepper before you do that, in my opinion. And it's like very thin-walled, so I don't think it's all too good for freezing. I think I talked about this before, and someone recommended it to use it in like rices and stir-fry stuff like that. So I think I'm going to do that this year. Last year, I really just fried them and ate them by themselves. So expanding our horizons. Okay, so all of the pepper seeds are sown, and now I'm just going to take and cover this. And then once I do that, I'm going to place it on a heat mat, and usually for me, within about 7 days, I'll start seeing those peppers germinate, and then I can move it under the grow light. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I hope that this was helpful to you. Let me know about your pepper growing experiences, and also don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like this or if you appreciate it. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and bye!